If you look at Black Americans today, the most common assumption is simple: they're African. But that answer isn't complete. Because the truth is, Black Americans are not just Africans. They are the result of one of the most complex, painful, and transformative histories in the world. A history that moved people across continents, stripped identities, mixed cultures, and created something entirely new. If any part of this sounds unbelievable, check the description. Sources are linked so you can verify everything. Because today, we're not just talking about origin. We're talking about identity. Welcome to 400 Plus, where we explore Black history, Black excellence, and the stories that shaped the modern world. This video is about understanding a truth that often gets oversimplified. Black Americans have African roots, but their identity was transformed through history in ways that make them something distinct. To understand that, we have to go back to the beginning. Before the Americas, African people were not one group. They were Yoruba, Igbo, Akan, Mandinka, and many more, each with their own languages, religions, cultures, and identities. There was no single African identity the way people think of it today. Africa was, and still is, incredibly diverse. Everything changed during the Transatlantic Slave Trade. Millions of Africans were taken from different regions and forced onto ships. But here's something many people don't fully understand. They didn't all go straight to the United States. Many were first taken to the Caribbean, South America, different colonial territories, places where cultures mixed under extreme conditions. Families were separated, languages were lost, names were erased, and people from completely different African backgrounds were forced together. The Caribbean played a major role in shaping what would later become Black American identity. Enslaved Africans in the Caribbean, mixed cultures created new languages, like Creole, adapted traditions. Some were later moved again to North America. Others influenced culture through migration and trade. So what we now call Black American culture is not just African. It is African, Caribbean, and American, all at once. Another reality that cannot be ignored is genetic mixing. Over generations, Black Americans developed ancestry that includes West and Central African roots, European ancestry, often through slavery-era exploitation, but also later integration. Indigenous American ancestry in some cases. This created a population that is genetically and culturally distinct. So while many Black Americans may look African, their ancestry often reflects multiple continents. One of the most powerful transformations was cultural. Enslaved Africans were often banned from practicing their religions, prevented from speaking their native languages, separated from their original communities. Over time, something new formed. Black Americans created new music, spirituals, blues, jazz, new religious expressions, new dialects, and ways of speaking, new cultural identities. This was not simply African culture surviving. This was culture being rebuilt under pressure. By the time slavery ended in the United States, something had changed permanently. The descendants of enslaved Africans were no longer tied to one specific African nation or tribe. They had become something else, a new people shaped by African roots, American experience, and shared struggle. This is why many scholars refer to Black Americans as a distinct ethnic group, not just Africans in another location, but a people with their own history, culture, and identity. So why do people still say Black Americans are just Africans? Because of appearance, because of ancestry, because of simplified narratives. But identity is not just about where your ancestors came from. It's about history, culture, shared experience. And those things change dramatically over time. Here's the deeper truth. Black Americans are connected to Africa, but they are not the same as Africans living on the continent today. Just like Irish Americans are not identical to people living in Ireland, Italian Americans are not identical to modern Italians. History shapes identity, and the history of Black Americans is unique. And this brings us to something important. Regardless of ancestry, Black Americans are Americans. They did not choose to come, but they built the country, worked the land, created culture, fought in wars, and shaped the nation in every way. From the foundation of the economy, to music, language, innovation, and culture. Their contribution is undeniable, just like every other group that became part of this country. So the question isn't, are Black Americans African? The real question is, what happens to identity when history reshapes it completely? Because Black Americans are not just a continuation of Africa, they are the result of survival, adaptation, and creation, under some of the most extreme conditions in history. A new identity, a powerful one. If this made you think differently, subscribe to 400 Plus. Because we're not here to simplify history, we're here to understand it.